how it's going to work is our three panelists are each going to introduce themselves, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just to tell you about who they are, what they do, how they got to where they got to, any sort of pieces of advice, wisdom, whatever it is that they want to share with us. We'll give them the opportunity, and so I won't do the honor of introducing themselves. I'll allow them to do that when it gets to them, and then we're going to follow it up with a Q&A session. A number of you, some people might not be here yet, but they submitted questions using the SurveyMonkey link, so I'm just going to ask those questions to panelists. Those were sent in advance to them, so they've kind of all had time to prepare and think of, the most pithy answers that they can give you. So we're going to ask that, and then at the end, we're just going to open to a live Q&A session if there's anything that you want to ask directly here and now, and even after the session. We're going to share the email addresses of each of our panelists, so if you want to reach out to any of them yourself directly, you're welcome to do so. If there's anything that don't feel comfortable asking here, or you maybe just don't remember or think about later at any point, you can ask that question. So yeah, I think without further ado, I'm kind of going to try and minimize my talking. We're going to ask Sis Nandi to begin for us, if she doesn't mind, just telling us who she is, what she does, your story as it pertains to your career.
Yes, hi everyone. My sound is a bit off, so my apologies in advance. It'll mean my answer has to be short though, because I can't shout for very long. So my name is Nandi. I'm a doctor. I'm working in Hull, which is where I studied. I'm doing an academic foundation job, which just means that I'm a doctor, but I'm also involved in research at the moment. So how I got here, I moved from home when I was 15, so that's about 10 years ago, 11 now, I think. And it was just GCSE and A-level. Subject-wise, I stuck with sciences because I assumed that's what you needed for medical school. I guess there's a point later where we talk about what you require, and I'll be able to explain a bit more around that. And then I just applied. I was very fortunate to get in on my first try. I had 4 interviews for medical school, which is very, very rare. And honestly, just God's gift, because I don't think I was qualified particularly enough for that, but a blessing. So when we come to interviews, I can talk to you about that more specifically for those of you who want medical interviews, because they're slightly different. And then I went to the Hull York Med School, so in the same region where I'm working now. Med school was 5 years. I took a year out actually, so it took me a bit longer to get through medical school. So I took a year out and worked, and then I went back to retake a year because I just struggled through it. And I graduated in June, so class of Corona. And now we're out and we're working. I think this is a very valuable event because I decided I wanted to go to med school at about 14, 15. And I'm very grateful that I did, because if I hadn't, I think I'd have been on the back foot. There's lots of volunteering and extra bits of work you have to do, which is much easier to start early. It's not impossible if you start later, but yeah, I think it's helpful to know about it a little bit earlier on. Essentially, that's me, and that's how I got here. I think the more useful stuff will come when I'm answering some of the questions you guys submitted. So I'll let the lads talk as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nandi. This is very helpful and insightful. I think we'll move on to Aaron next. Sorry.
Okay. Hello, Ron. My name is Aaron Piri. I'm 19 and I'm currently a junior operations associate at Howden M&A. And how I started was I'm a school leaver. So after I did A-levels in maths, economics, and physics, I went out of my way to look for internships, build networks, and in a sense, just managed to land some fortunate opportunities where I could go to interviews for these big companies. And how I managed to do that was first, a lot of the things which I did was mainly my own research. I had to outsource. And in doing so, I found a group called Amos Bursary. And it's like a group of foundation where they help young Black men like myself navigate their way through professional careers. They help you with interviews and whatnot. And then I also signed up to the brokerage. So those two things were what really helped me boost my pursuit in a career which I'm currently in now. And in doing so, I managed to land internships, work experiences, and therefore it built me up. And once a full-time role came in, I was able to apply and got in. And if you saw my description, it says I'm an apprentice. Well, fortunately for me, my role also has an apprenticeship scheme which I could start anytime. So I just began that this year and I'm now studying towards my CII, which I do on the side while working full time.
Cool. Thank you very much. Before we move on, can I ask you what the brokerage is, if you want to explain that to everybody?
Sure. So the brokerage is a foundation where it's like, I wouldn't say a charity, but mainly a group where with their networks, especially in the insurance and risk management market, they'll help you navigate your way through interviews. They'll help write your CVs. They'll actually help you source out some internships, whether paid or not. So you can find 2 weeks, 1 day, 6 weeks, or up to you. And it will also benefit you depending on what industry you want to go to. So I know they're really good in the finance industry, but they also help with media, sometimes medicine as well. So it really depends. But ultimately, they really help you basically grow into your career. So once you're ready to actually get started working, you'll be familiar in how to present yourself, what to do, and what employers are looking for.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. And then last but not least, Joseph. Joe. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. As you all know, I'm Joseph Kachecha. I'm 26. 27. I keep forgetting. I just turned 27 a few days ago, so I still refer to my old age.
Happy birthday.
Belated. I'm too old now. But yeah, I've basically followed a similar route to Nandi in the sense of like I was 17 when I moved here. So I moved here having set my GCSEs in Zimbabwe. So all I've done here is A-level. And so I did my A-levels in economics, business studies, and geography. And I come from a long line of what you call it, accountants or people who've done something related to finance. So for me, it seemed like path was chosen for me, or if I couldn't decide enough, everyone was sort of like pushing me to say, get a professional qualification and you can figure it out from there. So I've done the conventional route of like going to uni, but I studied something completely different than what I do now. So I studied economics and finance in university, and that's obviously through just the standard UCAS application process. But in between my 3-year course, I took a year out and I went on placement and worked for an NHS foundation just to get my skills up. So I worked within an internal audit function for like various NHS trusts. And building on from that, I just went back to uni for the final year. And after the final year, that's when I looked into going into like professional working world. It was a lot to sort of like pick from because in my head, I wanted to do so much, but then I realized not everything I'd done in preparation leading to that had prepared me for the roles I wanted to go into. I wanted to go into management consultancy, like because internal audit was something similar to that, but then there's different pathways, and with the firms I was looking at, they hire from like different target schools. So it's one of those where you have to, which is why I'm saying we should be grateful for Sandy for sort of like organizing this in a sense of like it allows you to know from very early on what you sort of like have to focus on or have to look at. But I've ended up I started my career with a German company called Rodel & Partner, where I spent the last two years, where I spent 2 years before moving late last year to where I'm currently now, which is like a really growing accounting firm. And I'm currently in audit, which is external audit. So I've moved from working inside organizations to working outside in the sense of validating their company accounts and just making sure everything that they do is as they say it is. So as far as my day-to-day, I think I'll get into that more like later on when you guys have managed to just hear a bit more from Sandy.
Right. Thank you very much for those very comprehensive introductions. I hope everybody's kind of got a feel for what each of our panelists does.